Every day it's some new doom and gloom. Oh my gosh, you guys, things have gone upside down in Australia, which I guess is par for the course based on the geography of where they live. So things are not going well for EVs, or are they? We've got some conflicting headlines. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Oza. Here to make some sense of it is Randy Kirk, who has giggled himself to sleep, I suspect.
I can't. Yeah, okay. Upside down, huh? All right. Okay.
I'm looking at the globe. It appears that way, assuming you people believe in globes, and also you guys believe in the Earth. That's weird. The only way to deal with a conspiracy theorist is to go one level deeper on them, and then they think you're the crazy person. It's wonderful. It quiets them down. So Randy, yeah, great, terrible news over in the land down under. Battery-powered EV sales plunge by 25% as Australian drivers choose hybrid models. Now, this is, the Australian Automobile Association analysis notes hybrids are exempt from fringe benefits tax until April Fool's Day. Haha, gotcha. So yeah, this is terrible. Battery-powered electric vehicles sales fell sharply last quarter and may have temporarily peaked as consumers turn to hybrids that attract tax concessions, according to a new analysis. So what's happened is, and this article is not great about it, hybrids are now outselling battery electric vehicles, which has long been Australia's strongest market. Let's see. The analysis noted that plug-in hybrids were exempt from benefits, which could save consumers thousands of dollars on new cars under a novated lease. Many jurisdictions still offer an incentive. See, they bury it all the way down here. But government rebates have ceased in all states and territories except Western Australia. And Western Australia is the far less populous side of the country. But let's look at a different headline. Let's look at a different way. Electric vehicle sales increase 17.7%. Now this, of course, you have to lump in the hybrids, which is, I guess, a bit better. 9% of new light vehicles sold in the first 3 quarters, so it's up. Electric vehicles, let's see, where are we at here? Despite broader cost of living pressures, more than 85,000 new vehicles have been sold so far this year. Did you know their market's that small?
Australia's, I think they're about the same size as Canada, aren't they? Just roughly in population, 22 million.
Yeah, that we recognize them as a continent, but I think that's just being polite. Affordable EVs are entering the market, a trend that's expected to accelerate as the new vehicle efficiency standard takes effect next year. So the short-term thing is that that there will be a little bit of pain there, but you can mitigate it with hybrids. And the last tab I'll show you before we get into the real discussion: lingering doubts, end of subsidies. See, this is the most honest of the 3 headlines. This one just says, look, misconceptions and the early removal of rebates have put the brakes on pure battery electric vehicle sales, and industry group warns. But sales of hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles continues to accelerate. So it's back to which are your carrots and which are your sticks. They had said you've got to get your emissions better, your mileage better, your effective gas mileage, energy mileage better, and battery electric is one way to do it, but plugins and hybrids are also the way to do it. Plug-in hybrids and pure hybrids. So they are able to do it a little better. And without the incentives, what are you going to do? So what's your take on this?
Well, my overall take, and I've really been chasing this thing around and around and around, and I know that Larry Goldberg did, a much more in-depth analysis than I have. But I think what hybrids really boil down to are a good bridge. They're a bridge for the automotive companies, and they're a bridge for the consumer. So the automotive companies are like, we can't compete with Tesla. We can barely compete with BYD when it comes to pure electric vehicles. We can compete by creating this hybrid thing, which gets really good gas mileage and which feels a little greener.
Is a little greener.
All right. But yeah, according to so many reports that are out there, people don't bother to plug them in. And they go ahead and run them on gas all the time. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it's a bridge. And the bridge is partially due to the fact that they're less expensive, not on a equal for equal basis. They're usually a couple $1,000s more because that second drivetrain costs a couple $1,000, or $1,500 or $1,000, whatever it is to make it, and then that ends up being $2,000 at retail. So, but what happens is you've got all these dealers out there that are selling these things, and the salesmen in that showroom are pushing the thing that is easiest to sell, and it's the hybrid, not the BEV. And they're behind on BEV, so they've got to sell what they think they can sell.
Car salesmen and many at many places, maybe all, I don't know, are paid on
Right.
the profit. And if there's no profit on the vehicle, I don't see the motivation for the salesman. Ideally, he'd like to find the cheapest junker on the lot that came in for $500 and sell it for 10 grand so that he can make, 20% of 9,500. And if there's, I can understand why the salesman would push the gas car over the electric car, and the dealership themselves, they want the maintenance. They want something with the most maintenance possible, which is of course the hybrid. Now, when I say that hybrids are a half measure, I get a lot of pushback in the comments, not so much from subscribers and people I know, but from brand new accounts I've never seen before. Maybe they're real people. It's entirely possible. They could also be fake. But the valid point that they make is there aren't enough batteries for all cars to be pure electric today. In the next 10 years, that will change. You can build battery factories. They are building battery factories. But if the goal is to have everyone completely electrified today, the answer is, well, then we need to make, 70, 80% fewer cars because there aren't enough batteries. The hybrid gets you less emissions. It just does less emissions than a straight gas car. I would love to have an opportunity to speak with a manufacturer who can help me understand it even better. None of them have reached out to me, and I have not reached out to any of them because manufacturers don't write me back. The ones I have, it's a pain. It's a pain. It's a lot of paperwork, and it doesn't do anything. But there are just not enough batteries. What do you think of that? Let's say battery electric cars were, in every way, perfectly good for everyone. If they fit everyone's use case, how would you feel about people still buying hybrids?
Yeah. So your first
Today.
question was, is there enough? Would there be enough batteries? And limiting factor, and I think we would be the two that were the most active in this area. So I did this analysis that stretched all the way to 2030 in terms of the maximum that I thought, that not maximum, I guess the middle case, if you will, for how fast other car companies could come on stream with BEV vehicles. It wasn't a matter of how many batteries they would need, but rather if they ramped even as fast as a Tesla, Tesla ramps faster than anybody. If they were able to come out with these cars and then ramp the cars, how many would General Motors be able to make in 2027? How many in 2028? How many would Ford do? And I went down a whole list of like whatever there was at the time, 50, 60 serious car companies, and where I thought they might be in 28 if all of them were gung-ho, trying their hardest to get 100% over to BEVs. And then, limiting factor, Gordon Chisagi, he was figuring out on the other side, is there enough batteries? Now, we weren't coordinating this. We were just doing it at the same time. And Jordan, he comes out, Jordan. I always go back. Anyway, Jordan, he comes out with a number and says, yeah, it looks to me like we can get to 27 and then we're going to be short. I don't know how we're going to get there. And then in 28, it might be a shortage, but by 29, we should be over the hill and we'll be good again. But then we had a big change. All of a sudden, we came out with changing chemistries, and those changing chemistries provided way more resources than we thought there was going to be originally. So, yes, maybe if every single car company did what I was hoping they were going to do in my analysis and went full out gung-ho, maybe 3 years out, we would have a problem.
I'm less worried about the mineral supply than the factories building the batteries themselves. If we end the battery production credit in the US, that's going to be the end of foreign investment in US battery companies, and it'll make US made battery cells uncompetitive, and I'm not sure who would fill the gap, but the obvious answer is China. China would fill the gap for at least all the
Oh,
rest of
unless
the
there was a
world.
tariff on those
Uh,
batteries, which there already is. So, but what you
well, no, I mean the
yeah.
rest of the
So
world.
the
I just said. No, no, no. We'll be screwed. Oh no, we're absolutely boned on batteries. But Tesla will be fine. And there are some companies that are still that have already
right.
built their battery factories, but scaling up to a 20 million, 10, 20 million unit capacity domestically is going to be well, let's just hope the battery manufacturing credit is not
Yeah, I
eliminated.
mean, I know that Elon wants it to be eliminated, but we have in the United States already the Panasonic factory that Elon, that Tesla has. It's
That's
already
already
built. They have a
built.
second battery factory that they've already built in Kansas. It should be, I assume it's, if it's not producing, it was supposed to be producing in August, I think. So I haven't heard anything recently on that. You've got Samsung that has a factory that's, I believe, finished or ready to go. You've got somebody, CATL is given sold.
Yeah, most of those scaled back dramatically on their on their
But I think,
factories 6 months ago when it became clear that the battery credit was
but I
in
think
serious danger.
those ones are still there. Plus, Tesla is planning to make 700 gigawatt hours in the United States now.
Mm,
700. That would be just the
mm.
500 in Reno and the 200 in Austin. That doesn't count the 40 that they bought from CATL, that used line. So that's 740
Hmm.
uh, gigawatt hours just from Tesla.
740.
That doesn't
I'll have to look that up. That
500,
seems
500 in
very
Reno.
high. 500 in Reno. Reno's currently producing like
No, no, I'm
40.
talking about the new 4680s.
Oh, yeah, but that factory's not being there. They announced the expansion of the factory. It
Right.
hasn't
I'm just saying
happened.
that's
They haven't done it.
the
Oh, yeah, with the battery credit gone, I don't know if they will. I don't know
no,
if it'll
because
make
Elon
sense.
doesn't care about the battery. He doesn't care about the credit.
Well,
I mean, that's what he said. Just going off of his
then
statement. Yeah.
yeah,
There was no credit when
he
well,
says a
no,
lot of things. When
when he put the whole to get the project together, what he called the Master Plan 3, and he talked about what he wanted to do.
right,
He wants to do a terawatt of battery production in the United States. He didn't care about. It was nothing to do with any credits coming from the government.
that was quite a while ago though. That was before. That was Investor Day, wasn't it?
The second,
That was quite a while ago.
well, anyway, I haven't heard anything. I haven't
So,
heard anything that was
uh,
that he's.
yeah, all the battery factories have been scaled back in ambition in anticipation of the removal of the battery production credit. Um, we're in a pickle without
Well,
batteries,
my
unless
recollection also on that, so that we get clear, is that the cutbacks on those battery production facilities had to do with the fact that General Motors and Ford were cutting back on their plans to make battery electric vehicles far before there was any real concern about the IRA being cut back.
um, okay, that wasn't my read at the time, but we'll see how it goes. Who knows? Maybe the credits won't be touched
Yeah,
at all.
but back to your original point, I think Jordan and I did the work, and what I believe is that if there was enough demand for the BEVs, there would be enough supply of batteries. There may be hiccups. There may be
Right, but today there
um,
isn't. Well,
product.
that's what I mean is the batteries aren't
Yeah,
there
but
today. We can't go all electric today. We could do it within 10 years.
okay.
Absolutely. We just have to get serious. And for now, I'm not going to let the perfect be the
No.
enemy of the good, um, which is, you know, an important part of being a grown up. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
I
told.
don't know.
I'm told.
I've had all
I
these
don't know either.
perfectionists in my life who would never go along with that statement, but I'm sure glad that it's true because I'm the last thing, I'm the farthest thing from a perfectionist.
Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it and stay tuned, stay juicy. I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the next one.